So as some of you already know, if you listen to the live show or if you follow any of my social media accounts, my birthday is tomorrow. I'm turning 27 years old. And I was thinking about, as you get older, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I feel like as you get older, you really start to not give a shit at all about presents that people might give you and stuff like that. To me, that seems like I don't need anything. I'm good. Like, you don't need to pretend to buy me some shit to show that you care about me. I know the people who care about me and the people who don't care about me, and I know, like, there's no extra brownie points. It's not a toy that I'm going to play with for a year and a half like I did when I was a toddler. So I'm not big on this whole gift thing. But I was thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion that there is something that I want for my 27th birthday. And it sounds incredibly cheesy, admittedly. But the thing that I want is our fucking government back. Now, it's gotten to the point in America where it's comical. It's comical, but also incredibly depressing at the same time, that when you look at the opinions of the American people and what's supposed to be a representative democracy, we don't get what we want ever. Never mind every once in a while, never mind 50% of the time, which would still be a disgrace if we only got what we wanted 50% of the time. We don't get what we want ever. And I've gone through the polls with you guys before, and it's stunning every time we go through it. Just to give a few examples here, 90% of the American people want a universal background check for gun purchases. Did we get that? Of course not. Even in the wake of Sandy Hook, when children were slaughtered, we couldn't get basic, vanilla, moderate gun reform to keep guns out of the hands of convicted felons and bipolar people and manic depressive people and you name it. You also have the minimum wage example. 80% of the American people, including a majority of Republicans, say, hey, we should raise the minimum wage. Haven't gotten that. Protecting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, you have about 60% of the public is in favor of never cutting those programs, even if it means massive deficit reduction. But nonetheless, you have both political parties discussing it on a regular basis, and eventually they will cut the program behind the guise of we must do it to reform it to save it, even though that's total bullshit. Raising taxes on the rich, you have about 60% of the American people who want to do that. Every once in a while, we get a Democratic administration that raises the top marginal rate from 36% to 39%. Ooh, man, you guys are so strong, aren't you? When the reality is that the tax rates that work the best, if you go back to the golden age of economic expansion in America, it's 70% to 90% marginal rate on the richest people in the country. Now, you have to understand what that means, by the way. It doesn't just mean the government takes 70% or 90% of your money. That's crazy. That's not what it is. A marginal rate means anything over a certain number is taxed at that higher rate, and that's pre-deductions, I might also add. So it's anything over, I think it was about $4 million was the line in today's money. So if you make $4 million, that's taxed at the lower rate, but then everything above $4 million is taxed at that higher rate. And again, after you factor in all the deductions, the effective rate is about 43%. So it's not really near 70 to 90%. But to have a conversation about 43% today would be like, oh my God, you fucking communist, you're crazy. Well, the American people want that, and we don't get it even under Democratic administrations. Now, why is that? It all comes back to the same issue. Corruption. It all comes back to the fact that we have legalized bribery in our government. And I can continue to go down the list of the different ways that we're ignored. Only 17% of the American people still want to be in Afghanistan fighting this backwards war where there's a no-win situation. Guess what? We're still there. We have a Democratic president, and we're engaged in battles in Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia, and Afghanistan. That's 6 places just off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's more covert operations going on around the world, and the CIA is carrying them out, and we don't even fucking know about them. So, down the line, we are being ignored. But what you do see is, according to political science research, there's one group of people that they're not being ignored. They're getting exactly what they want. That group of people is the rich, the elite, the donor class, as they're called. So if you'll notice, one of the things that, if you look at the polling data on that group of people, one of the things they love and they talk about all the time is deficit reduction. To them, that's like number one, oh my God, we need to reduce the deficit, yada, yada. Lo and behold, what happened? President Obama, Democratic president, took the deficit from $1.4 trillion under George W. Bush. He inherited that from Bush. Now it's $463 billion. And again, you name the issue, I will show you how the Democrats and the Republicans are serving the elite. So what I want for my birthday is not, hey, let's get to the end result by Tuesday and have our country back and get money out of politics, because that's not possible. That's a pipe dream. That's naive. It would be silly for me to come out here and talk about that. No. What I want is for us to all get involved in a more serious way, to the point where when we lay our heads down on our pillows at night, we can go, we're doing everything we can. If we continue down this road, eventually we will win. So what I want from every single listener of this show, if you really care about the stuff that we talk about and if it really means something to you, if you want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, what I want you to do is, takes 5 minutes of your time. All you have to do is look up online your state legislator's phone number, their information. Look up online your state senator's information as well, all for your district, your county, your area, right? We're talking at the state level here. I'm not talking about calling the politicians for the federal level, for the national level. All state. Pick up the phone. You'll find their number online very easily. You call them. Most of the time, they won't answer. Leave a message. Tell them what you're calling for, or if they do answer, or if you talk to, an assistant or something, let them know. Just say very simply. And by the way, if you go to wolf-pac.com, you'll see what the amendment says that we're trying to push for. Ask them if they support that. Ask them if they support moving away from Citizens United. Explain to them what it's about. Now, I know that everybody who listens to this show is educated enough on this issue to talk about this stuff as much as I do, with as much detail as I do. If you listen to this show, if you listen to the Young Turks, if you listen to Tom Hartman, you know exactly what's going on in our political system and how corrupt it is. So you have the tools available to you. And if you think you don't, and if you think you're bad at it, look, man, just all you have to do is look at the website and read the amendment off and say, hey, do you support this idea? This is our idea for a constitutional amendment. It makes it so that we ban private money from the political system, and we publicly finance all elections, do what's called clean elections. So that allows us to have a battle of ideas as opposed to a battle of dueling donors, whether it's liberals taking money from unions and George Soros and teachers, or whether it's conservatives taking money from the biggest corporations in the world and the defense contractors and Sheldon Adelson and Foster Freeze and the Koch brothers. Why not have an actual discussion? I know that average Joe Republican in Arkansas does not want to have Wall Street or George Soros or any liberal big money donors affecting politics any more than I want the right-wing donors to affect politics. Why not have an actual discussion about abortion, have an actual discussion about gay rights, have an actual discussion about what tax proposal makes the most sense for us? And I honestly believe that if you take that step and we succeed on getting money out of the political system, that makes it so that we fix over 50% of our problems overnight. It's as simple as that. And what's my evidence for this? You can look at places around the world that have governments that are less corrupt. And what do you see in those places? The policies that we like. We see governments that actually represent the people. If you talk about certain places in Europe and in the Scandinavian region, I mention them all the time for a reason, because they're wildly successful. Universal healthcare, universal education, universal daycare. I mean, they have a social safety net that's the envy of the world, a middle class that's the envy of the world. Everybody has an equal opportunity. It's a more fair system. They don't blow all their money in random wars and on pork barrel projects and on corporate welfare like we do. We can get to a system like that. It just requires us standing up and fighting. All you have to do is call your state legislator, call your state senator, talk to them, ask them where they stand on it, explain it to them, let them know that this is a gigantic movement. And just so you know how strongly public opinion is on our side, let me give you the details on this. 90% of respondents, according to a recent poll from Represent.us, said they'd support a law that imposes tough new campaign finance laws. That's exactly what we're talking about here. When campaign finance, they changed that term to corruption in the poll, 97% of the American people said, yeah, let's crack down. We would support strict laws addressing this situation. Corporate personhood is another thing tied into the Wolf-Pac Amendment. That's gone. No more corporate personhood. Also, there was essentially no partisan difference on the issue. 82% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans said reducing corruption is important. So more Republicans want to reduce corruption. Great! There are brothers and sisters on this issue. And other results offer similar takeaways. They say, quote, 71% of respondents, including nearly 80% of independents, said the election system is biased in favor of the candidate with the most money. And by the way, that is an objective fact. 93% of the time, the congressional candidate who raises the most money ends up winning. So for me, as a birthday present, I need you to call your state legislator, I need you to call your state senator and just have a conversation with them about Wolf-Pac and ask them if they support the Wolf-Pac Amendment, if they support the idea of getting money out of the political system. You don't need to do what I do and, essentially give a sermon and pontificate and scream and yell about it. Just have a conversation with this human being and talk to them about it. The state legislators are much less corrupt than at the federal level. That's where the big money really goes. So have a real conversation with them, and let's see if we could start moving this country in the right direction. I said it before, I'll say it again. You are what you do. Your actions, that's what matters in this world. We can have intellectual discussions all we want about addressing the system and fixing the system, but if at the end of the day we don't take some action, then we're failing. So when I throw this up on YouTube, there's going to be more information in the description box. If you want to talk to somebody from Wolf-Pac to get even more involved, I would love it if you do that as well. But the bare minimum I would ask, I would really appreciate it if, as a birthday present to me, doesn't have anything to do, no, don't give any money to me, I don't want your money, I don't need anything from you. It's not about me, it's about the idea, and it's about the country. And all I need is for you to call your state legislator or call your state senator, more specifically, both.